What's up, guys, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Now, I know we do have a little bit of some topic conversation that we want to talk about today. We also have some sweet hot tips, as usual. And so we're going to lead off with a couple different things. First of all, I'm just going to put you on the spot, Brent, and what is your hot tip of the episode? Because just gonna put you on the spot right now.
I'm ready.
Awesome.
I've got dozens of these. You can call on me at any point. I got
Dozens.
some hot tips.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna start with this one, and this is something that talking with some internet friends today kind of came up with. All right, GW shade bottles. You knock them over, and most of the shade spills out. It's an internet meme at this point, and I myself personally, this came up this week for me. I spilled my Reichland Flesh shade, and I lost, 3/4 of a bottle. It was close to a full bottle. Lost most of it, and as always happens, the last 2 milliliters stays there at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be rationing that for the next few months. And this was the hat trick. This completed the trifecta of Nuln Oil, Agrax Earth Shade, Reichland Flesh Shade. All three of those bottles for me are down to the last 1.5 milliliters because, not that I used so much of it, but because I had one accident on each of them. And, I've gotten to the point now where I do put them into like a little medicine cup when I'm using them, just a little extra protection from just whacking them and having them spill all over the desk. And it has helped me a couple of times. It probably protected that Reichland Flesh shade for, maybe an hour of use or so. And then it happened, knocked it over.
Yeah.
As always happens. But quick tip of the day is we've got a new theory of the case on really trying to minimize losses.
Okay.
And I'm going to reverse my stance on a previous issue. This may be the perfect time to rebottle Games Workshop paints. Previously, my position was just buy Vallejo. You want paint in a bottle, don't buy it in a can. This is simple, but I do actually really like those Games Workshop shades. And also, I think they're kind of the perfect item for you go into a friendly local game store. You feel like, because you have walked into the door, you should probably buy something. And if we get to a point where we're playing games there again, if you play a game there, you should buy something. And I think, a can of Nuln Oil is just the right price point. Probably a decent little couple buck margin built in there. You go, you play a game, you eat some snacks, you buy a bottle of Nuln Oil. Good. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Maybe you buy a Night Titan or something else too.
Maybe just
a little something.
Throw down an extra 150. Sure.
But it's like a good minimal, like, thank you for having this store. Thank you for being a brick and mortar operation. My Nuln Oil is getting a little low. We'll pick that up. And Nuln Oil gloss, I've heard bad things, but you know what? Why not try it? Well, you just pick this up,
Yeah, why not?
And so, in terms of just little knickknacks to pick up at the shop, I think the Games Workshop shades or washes or whatever are actually pretty high on that list. For just most of the time they'll be there. Pick them up. Anyway, once you get them home, though, I have changed my position on this. Once you get them home, you pour off the first 15 milliliters into a dropper bottle.
Sure.
That way you're saving what would ordinarily be on your desk within a week, and you still have that remaining 2 milliliters at the bottom of the shade bottle.
Okay.
Now, it's up to you from this point, whether you're working from the dropper bottle, putting that onto a pallet, getting your wash when you need it, or if you're just working from the dregs of that Nuln Oil bottle all the way through, and then it gets into the danger zone really, really low, it'll squirt a little, you got a little refill bottle.
That's interesting. Okay. A refill bottle. Like the opposite.
And it's you're outsmarting the system. You're saying
Yeah.
like, look,
Yeah.
I know I'm going to tip you over, but if there's nothing to spill out, I win.
Yeah.
And
That's
and
true.
if all that would have spilled into the desk is now in a little dropper bottle inside my desk and I pull it out
Mhm.
when I need it, boom, done.
I mean, I'm with you there.
Yep.
Okay. I have transferred several of my washes, or at least parts of them, to dropper bottles. Specifically, and I'll get into this in a minute. For my hot tip, one of my hot tips, I should say, Reichland Flesh Shade 50/50 with the gloss, excellent. But yeah, there are other ways. In fact, this week something came up, and someone was like, "If you need a hot tip for this week, I got you covered." Right? I was sent this, okay, personal tip information. Um, like a lot of us have like, blue tack laying around, silly putty, whatever the case is. Like if you're gonna open up a bottle of wash or something, tack that down to your desk.
Mm.
It's not gonna spill. Like unless you got huge lumbering arms that are gonna smack things over while you're painting dainty models.
That's a good point. That's bringing me back to when I used to be an actual chemist.
There you
there are
go.
some
Yeah.
bottles that you open
Yeah.
up where the risk if you spill the bottle
Mm-hmm.
is literally a fiery death. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so um, actually it's completely related to why sometimes like meth dens just burst into flame sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It makes
But
sense.
yeah, so very strong bases that just react so fast, they generate so much heat, and yeah, one
Yeah.
time there was like a drop. I was trying to clean it up with a piece of tissue, and the tissue just burst into flames. Like, oh, that's.
Oops. Yeah.
uh, so anyway, yeah, if you're working with something you really don't want to spill,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
absolutely you clamp it down to your work
Yeah.
desk.
Clamp it
That's
down, tack it down, double-sided tape it down. Games Workshop even makes a handy dandy bottle holder to make absolute sure that you're not going to spill a $7 bottle. I
no,
actually got sent one
that's
by
rewarding
someone.
them for bad behavior.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Okay. Um, it's kind of ridiculous to make something to take care, like fix the problem after the fact, right? Like they're the ones that created the problem to begin with, and they're just covering up their mistakes. But they also sell it for literally like $3, and that's at a local game shop. So it's not like it's not the biggest investment in the world to actually stop this stuff from happening. You
it's
know?
kind of like an unspoken apology. They want you to
Yeah,
know that they're sorry, but
but they're not
the lawyers have
overcharging.
told them they cannot say this. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I have it on good authority that they are very proud of their bottles. Like good
Okay.
authority. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some strong brand identity there, but that's
that's about it.
the only advantage.
Yeah. Well, and even then, I think they're like, what was it? The other bottles that they had before, the like bolter looking. You know what I'm talking about? Like the
Hexagonal.
hexagon. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
those looked more GW than the new ones do.
Oh, I think they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, well, it just depends on your generation, I guess. But
Yeah,
to us,
that's true.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Interesting though. I think there are definitely ways around the spillage issue. Personally, and maybe I should knock on wood, I've never spilled a bottle. Like I've dumped, purposely or on accident, I should say, dumped extra out that I wasn't meaning to, but I've never knocked a thing over.
I've done
I
it
don't
to
know.
literally every one of them I've owned.
That's great.
And even when I put it in like a special little holder,
Yeah.
and like I said, this was like a medicine cup from the top of a NyQuil bottle or something, some a
Okay. Yeah.
cough syrup bottle, and not a lot of weight to it, but it broadens the base out a little bit, makes it a little more resilient. And I
Sure.
thought I was being clever. I thought I had my system, but
And he
not
broke
good
it.
enough. Good thing I never presented that as a quick tip. Quick tip: get yourself some NyQuil, and
Yeah. Drink it. Then
Have 2-3 times the recommended dose of Robitussin, and then paint bravely. That's what we call that.
We call that something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You might not get any painting done, but something. Yeah.
All right. So your quick tip is to stick your wash bottles down to your table, and of course we can get around all of this by just buying like strong tone or something. But I do think there's something special to Agrax Earthshade. It's just the right blend. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Out of all of the GW washes, Agrax Earthshade is definitely my favorite. It's my go-to. It does so much. It does so much with so little. Just a little brown, a little black, and it's wonderful. Yeah, I still, like I said, haven't had the spillage issue. Yeah,
you just wait for it, Casey.
I'm
sure you're
if it
just
happens,
special.
It'll happen.
Immune.
It's possible. Yeah. It's funny too, is every time I open the bottle though, like I think about those pictures that I see in all the Warhammer groups. Oh, spilled, another one down,
Yeah.
F in the comments, And I think about it every time, and I'm going to spill it this time. This time is my time. And it just never happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That meme irks me a little bit because it's not funny anymore. It's like
Not
a serious
anymore.
design flaw, and I have spilled way more of all of my bottles of this wash than I have used of it, and I don't consider myself to be a particularly clumsy or careless person. So
Right.
When that Reichland went the other day, I mean, first reaction is to reach right for my paper towels, which are mounted in a convenient place on my level 4.5 painting desk, and wipe that up. And then it's just like, man, so angry. Just about as angry as Goobertown Hobbies gets,
Yeah, right. Well, then you get all the other comments on those posts. They're like, "Hey, man, you gotta keep a syringe around just in case, so you can, suck all that stuff back up and put it back in." It's like I don't keep a syringe on handy, but that's a good idea. It's a nice thought, I guess.
Back to chemistry days, we were taught to keep your workbench clean enough that if you break your glass flask, that you can recover most of the liquid if you need to, or most of the powder or whatever.
It's a good call.
Still probably going to involve a lot of loss and like a purification step, but
sure.
If you're doing an 18-step synthesis and on step 15 you drop your product, that's a bad day. So yeah. You get the syringe to pick up Agrax Earthshade, like you get a few milliliters out of it, but
sure.
Alternatively, listen to one or both of our quick tips and address this beforehand.
Some tack, some double-sided tape. Put it into dropper bottles.
Very good.
The dropper bottles are kind of like the thing, right? Although you're not going to find a large enough dropper bottle. And the problem I actually have with that for washes, only for washes, not for the paints, is that you only get the one label on the wash bottle, and you're going to end up filling almost 2 bottles.
Well, we'll think of a solution one of these days. That's why I'm saying oh my God. Look, okay, I know you can't see this. The cat is literally behind the camera, swinging at the touch screen. It hasn't changed any settings yet, but...
Oh, the touch screen.
Hold on, I've got to distract it.
Here, kitty. Come on.
Kitty.
Don't touch that.
Don't touch
that.
Of all the things you regularly touch, not this one.
Get back in that box.
He's like a little director. He's sitting right behind the camera, staring at the touchscreen. Gordon actually pays more attention to screens than some other cats. He's one of the ones that's really prone. You can put one of those bird films on.
Oh, sure.
TV for cats, and he'll just sit there and bat at it. But right, he's distracted. Okay, so I think we can move on from this.
I think so.
Series of quick tips here. Move into what have you been up to, Casey?
Oh man, not a lot, I guess. Not a lot. Um, yeah, okay, it's been a bit. It's been quite a bit actually. Yeah, there's a lot of getting ready for next week. So by the time you're hearing this podcast, I won't be a father for the second time, but if you're listening to this on the day of release, it will literally be within the next 24 hours. I'll be in the hospital doing the thing. Yeah. So there's been a lot of prep. There's been a lot of getting stuff ready, to have a new kid in the house. And that's been a lot on my plate. Trying to figure out what I'm going to do in the meantime, like for the channel, for this podcast, even. I mean, we're still going to be all right, but it's a lot to think about. And I've been weirdly gathering stuff to do, even though I don't think I'm going to get to like 90% of it. Like, I've bought an obscene amount of models lately.
Ooh.
Yeah,
This is the sort of thing I like to hear about. How
right. Like
I liked on your, I saw your painting Mephiston video where you're, seeing if you got a good price on the Mephiston that you have right ahead in front of you. And you saw a different Mephiston for a good price. And you just bought more Mephistons.
In the video, so. Yes. I bought another
I assume that was
iteration.
Related to your current state of mind.
Yeah, literally. Like, I'm filming the video. And I'm like, oh my God, this...
Buy now.
I need to
one
buy
quick
this.
Purchase. Yeah.
And I did. Like, I recorded the process of me going, I'm just going to buy this. Yeah. Yeah, I've spent a lot of money. I probably spent $200-$300 on Death Guard models. Just like I said, an obscene amount of models have come. I bought a good chunk of in fact, I bought the entire special edition box of that Sisters of Battle box that came out. I got a sweet deal on it. But still, I bought those models. I owned them. And the book for those. And for the Death Guard stuff. I also bought a Mortarion. I think I've mentioned that 3 or 4 times. Yeah, like, I even went so far as to magnetize the weapon options on a Plague Burst crawler, which I bought magnets too. I don't know what's wrong with me, but the guns, they're magnetized. Look at that. I don't know why.
That was slick. Yeah, for those of you not watching on the YouTube channel, that magnet, that weapon went right onto that tank.
You can hear that. Oh yeah.
That sounds
click,
that sounds
magnet
great.
Sound.
And if you are watching on YouTube, please leave a comment to encourage Casey to buy more cool stuff. Let him know what color you want to see those Death Guard and Sisters of Battle.
Yeah, and stuff. I also played Kill Team for the first time, so I've been a little bit obsessive in looking up different kill teams and purchasing them in full.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I, like, off to the side, I have a whole table set up, and then there's a tray behind the camera of models set up, and then there's a whole desk over here with models and sprues and a bunch of Blood Angels that I bought. Like having a new kid come in, like, there's a weird thing that happens in your brain where you're like, this is it. I'm done. I got to get my stuff done now. I got to get some stuff going.
Yeah.
And for some
bachelor
reason,
party of sorts. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that. And this happened last time too. Like, I got back into the hobby because of my first child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, oh my God, like my youth is over. I'm finished.
I understand.
I need to get into like something again. And Warhammer was that something. Like, no joke. Like, I was painting Skaven. Like, first day we brought him home, I'm sitting on the couch painting some plague plague bearers, whatever. Skaven-y plague things.
Memories.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So maybe a little bit of mental breakdown. Maybe something like on that level. But yeah, it's been good.
I think I think like, you know, a little bit of stress is related to a little bit of a shopping addiction. I think those go hand in hand.
Oh, for
This
sure.
all
Yeah.
checks out, and plus you deserve some
I
more kill
deserve
teams.
deserve. Like
You
I played
need
Kill Team once, and I'm like, I need all the kill
it's
teams.
literally your job to buy all these kill teams.
I do say that to myself.
Hmm.
Like, you know what? This is my job. This is my day job, and I need this kill team, and
Yeah,
not because I want to win, but because I want to show you how cool it is
right.
to to win after I paint them nicely.
Yeah. You go out to check your mailbox, and the neighbor
Hmm.
sees you and kind of gives you a look as you're walking back with like 7 boxes from eBay, and you say,
Yeah.
"What? It's my job. It's my job."
I've had that, not that conversation so much, but that look.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have one neighbor in particular who he's older. He sits out on his porch every day for a few hours, like regardless the weather. I don't know what the deal is, but he just sits out there. And man, like I've talked to him a bunch, and he's a nice guy, but like he does give me that look. Like I go to the mailbox, which in my neighborhood is outside. It's like a you know, you don't just have individual mailboxes. You have like almost an apartment complex style thing. It's like, you know, one for every couple of blocks or whatever. You go to the community thing, you have your box, and then there's package boxes. So, you know, I have to walk across the street and open up my box, and yeah, it's usually like 9 or 10 packages, and I'm struggling, and I'm the one that takes up all of the package boxes, and they give you keys in your particular mailbox. So everybody else's packages either have to wait or they get delivered to their porch or some other way. I'm not sure. They slam them into the boxes. So I'm usually the guy carrying the 10 boxes out of the designated package section of the mailbox. And I definitely get those looks of like, the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
I
why?
do like the
Why?
mental image of you sitting there with like 7 of these keys opening up your
Yeah. That's about almost right. Like there are two package boxes. But I mean it's embarrassing when I have both keys. It is.
Okay. Okay.
Cuz like they're fairly large. Like
Sure.
multiple packages can fit. So when I have both keys, it's kind of like that means that the other probably 20 people in my like overall mailbox aren't getting their packages in the designated boxes. So that happens most weeks. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should check your mail more often. That's
I check it every day, and I am signed up for the advanced notification mail where I get photos in my email of what I'm getting in the mail. So I know what's coming. It just
okay.
stacks up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although I do feel like the mail carrier has slightly given up because I did find a package like not on my porch, but like halfway up my driveway, just nonchalant tossed up my driveway. So I think it might be getting fed up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, have to start repairing those relations. That's all right.
Yeah. Well,
You've got
Christmas
kill
comes
teams
around,
and they don't, and that's the important thing.
and they don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got
I've
kill teams and
also
almost 2 children, so
and almost two children.
who are you
One
looking
in
at? Yeah.
9, 10. Yeah, it's getting there. The other thing I've been doing is I actually went back and I pulled one of my older models out and I decided to repaint it. Not something that I painted, but one of the first things I ever bought on eBay was a Vlad von Karstein Vampire Counts model.
Mm.
And if you are listening to this on the day of release, then that will have already gone up the day before, so it is out for your viewing pleasure. And that actually, I've been pretty excited about that. Weirdly, normally I spend a good like 4 or 5 hours per model because that's kind of all I have to spend each week. It's not actually that long to paint. Um, yeah, I mean in general to put videos together each week, I don't have that much time allotted to me. But this week I was kind of like, okay, well, you know, kids coming. Let me just sit down and I'm gonna spend an extra like 5 hours on this model. And like it actually made a big ass difference. Like
Interesting.
you
I
would
mean, that
think
makes
it
sense, but
would. It makes sense, but like yeah, I don't know, for some reason like when you're painting, you don't necessarily think that it actually will. When you think you've hit a point where the model is done, like it's done because you say it is, but is it actually done? And I bet that more often than not, it's not done. And I definitely found that out this week. So I'm feeling pretty good about that.
yeah, we can definitely talk about this topic. This happened to me this week, a couple of models I was working on where it was the act of putting them onto their finished bases. I
Yeah.
said, okay, so I'm going to get them looking pretty good, and then we'll put them onto their bases so that they have context, and then I'll go through and do the finishing details. But once they were on those finishing on those bases, I could look at them and be like, okay, I could put a highlight here. I
Yeah.
could fix up this thing. I could do this, but they look done, and then just sometimes something clicks in your brain. Like, these models are done. What am I painting next?
Yeah.
Why do I want to sit here for another, couple hours? And
Mm-hmm.
I like them just the way they are. And so that's a real danger. And I'm glad you found a way to push through on old Van Karsten there.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about it too, and that's obviously going to be the topic of the video that I'm going to be making that will have been out by the time you're listening to this. So, we'll see how it goes. Is that kind of drive of like when is a model actually finished? Because you reach a certain point, like you're happy with it. You look at it and go, this is pretty sweet. Okay, I could play this on the table, and I feel pretty good about it. But it's like, I mean, we're painting these models. We want to improve. We want to get better. So like, why aren't we pushing ourselves on a more regular basis to just finish a model? Like actually finish, follow through on it. And I look at this model even now, and I'm kind of like, well, there's probably more I could do.
Of course.
And that's usually the case, but I don't know, like what is it about a model when you hit a certain point that you're just like, that's good enough?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm trying to explore that a little bit, kind of see where that takes me.
Yeah, there's the saying that art is never finished, just abandoned, but I don't know. For me, like sometimes something just clicks and it's like, this model's done. I'm never going to touch it again. And
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been there lots of times. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, no, if you have 10 hours to work on painting, pretty reasonably, you could get one quite good model out, or two pretty good models, or three pretty good models.
Yeah.
or a whole pile of decent. I don't know. It
I don't
depends
know.
how
It
fast
depends.
you paint,
Yeah.
but
Depends on the
it's
person
all
for
a
sure.
trade-off for sure. I know
Yeah.
Trapped Under Plastic, we're talking about, what 100-hour minis looks
Right.
like
Yeah.
for this last week. And I was listening to those guys, and I really don't think I could do that.
Yeah. You got to
Spend
wonder.
that much time on a mini. I would have to, I was thinking about like what mindset I'd have to be in to be willing to put that much time into one mini, because man, once it starts looking pretty good after 5-10 hours, I don't think I would want to
Yeah.
keep futzing with it. But
No, I'm with you, man. Like, and I guess it's all dependent on the end result or the end goal. I
yeah.
guess. I mean, if you're aiming to compete on a level, then yeah, you're gonna have to put in the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody else, even if they didn't, like, you're gonna want to make sure that you put in the time.
Oh, for sure.
Uh,
Yeah,
but like
you've got
for
to
a
have
gaming,
such vision for what you want it to look like, and you have to really love you have to
yeah,
love that model, and you have to love your idea for that model. And I don't know, I'm trying to understand. I don't understand, but
right,
I'm trying to put myself into those shoes. But I can happily work on a model for a little over 10 hours, depending
yeah,
on what's going on. But yeah. So anyway, I'm excited to see your Van Karsten. next week, or when this podcast is out. Check it out.
It's yesterday.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And wishing you and the family the best of the luck coming up here. Hopefully you've done more to prepare than just buy some kill teams, but if not, I'm sure
diapers. I bought diapers too, so there's
diapers and kill teams.
Diapers and kill teams. So I just sent you a picture of that Von Karstein on your little telephone device. That way you can see it. It's not in
my pocket. We'll talk about it later.
Look at you. Jeez. Fine.
What, you want this radio for me to be looking at my phone saying like, oh, it's a pretty good little vampire you got there going, buddy?
Well, okay, so theoretically, right? Like behind the scenes.
Okay, hold on. Let me
behind the scenes.
This out.
Yeah, you do that.
Boop, boop,
take off your headphones
boop,
and you go, oh, look at that. And then magically the image would appear on the screen for everyone else to see.
Casey, you're doing good work here. This is Oh, hey, I'm glad you really put in the extra effort on this one. I can see the improvement. This is a great model. And everyone should go check out that video on eBay Miniature Rescue's YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Share it with your friends.
Yeah, that's it. I see how that is.
Sorry.
Anyways, yeah, so I've been doing that this week. It's been pretty good. Yeah, man, like that's actually kind of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before we've had little talks as if you were going to stock up episodes to be ready for this paternity leave.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That sounded like an impossibility. How's that going?
Yeah. I'd still call it on that level of it being an impossibility. I did try though. Like I actively tried each week.
I believe you.
And there were a few weeks where I got ahead and I was like, I'm feeling real good about this. I got the video done on like a Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Threw that video up, early access on Patreon on a whole Wednesday. Comes out on Sunday. They had it on a Wednesday. Feeling good about that.
That
started on a new
Thursday and Friday for like looking up weapon options for specialists on your Death Guard kill team, right?
That's quite literally how it went. No. There was a little bit of that, whatever. But no, I grabbed a new model. I started the process over, got footage, did all this stuff way ahead, right? And then just inevitably something would come up. I don't know I don't know. It just ended up happening. So like I tried, but there is absolutely zero amount of content lined up for when this kid comes. That being said, I did buy a webcam. So I've got my dongle for my camera and a webcam, and I'm good to go for streaming. I got my OBS frames all ready to go. So I'm planning on doing some of that, hopefully. We'll see how that goes. And as far as like models go, I obviously have a ton of stuff. So I'm debating on whether or not I should go in and do like the baby diaries, all miscast Nurgle diaries, but some kind of like vlog style. This is what I can accomplish in this amount of time.
Sure.
Or if I should just go, hey, here's the cheapest model on eBay. I don't know what it's called and what it is, but I painted it and it was good. Yeah.
This week on eBay Miniature Rescues, we are testing out green contrast paint.
Right. That's kind of what I'm thinking, right? Like, here are the things that I like. This thing, this good thing.
No, I mean, you can start branching out into your top 5 lists and your bottom 5 lists. And I
had a good top 5 list already that I made for it too. I was like, top 5 conversions you definitely need to try in Warhammer. Yeah.
My top 5 favorite models that I haven't sold back onto eBay.
Exactly. Though, I mean, those kinds of things, right? That's like the easy low-hanging fruit kind of stuff. That'll
Hey,
probably get way more views than any of my actual effort put
of
in videos.
course,
But, I got to hold off for times like these to
art
make
from
those types
adversity.
of videos.
That
Exactly.
time crunch, you're gonna come up with beautiful things,
Exactly.
and we'll be here every other week to talk about it.
Yeah. And if you have any ideas for those kinds of top five lists, there you go. Head over to youtube.com/paintbravely, the podcast, and leave those ideas in the comments just for me, because I need help.
Yeah,
I'm losing
Casey,
it.
we're all rooting for you and your family, and for your clickbaity YouTube videos that will coincide with the birth of a beautiful
Exactly.
and healthy daughter.
I'm thinking of this week, or in this case, yesterday's video. It's going to be something like giving up early or quitting. I'm quitting forever, or some stupid thing that's going to get
Oh,
the
that's
most clickbait
perfect
comments. You know
clickbait.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
most clickbait it can get. Like new baby's coming. I need that clickbait dosh. Like it's got to come. I don't have a choice.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You're ready. You're as ready as you're gonna be.
That's probably a good way to put it. I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
Okay. Well, there we go. We were talking before we started recording, like what's new with you, and I realized, I've got nothing on that scale. No
Not
new
that
lives are being added to
scale.
my life. I
New
haven't
models though.
new models though.
I
Yeah.
feel like that is amazing.
All right, so let me start in on my little story of what I've been up over here in
Yes.
Goobertown. So I was working on painting some tabletop world buildings. So these are these nice resin medieval sort of fantasy style terrain buildings.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen them before on the YouTube channel. Nice little medieval houses and stuff. And that was going to be the next Goobertown Hobbies video, and I got like 6 of these buildings looking pretty nice. Behind me on the shelf here, I've got 4 like prototypes, but I've got 6
Yeah.
larger buildings that
Some
are coming along that are close to done. I was doing a Warcraft style, and by
yeah, I
Warcraft
was gonna
style, I
say
mostly mean colored roofs.
colored roofs and amber windows.
Perfect, perfect. Anyway, I was really close to having this video. It was a couple of days away. Let's be honest, a
Sure,
couple of
sure.
days away,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was coming along nice. And then on my doorstep is Warhammer Quest: Cursed City.
Mm, yes. And when was this? This was several days ago, at least 3 or 4 days ago, before recording this podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
So it
So
it showed up on my
early
doorstep
access.
about 2 days ahead of the review embargo. And so the
Gotcha.
way Games Workshop does their releases is, they hint about a product coming out, and then they do the reveals and their hype building, and they start putting out their tutorial videos. And the idea is that the hype crescendo kind of reaches its maximum on pre-release day, which is 1 week before the actual release of the product.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea is and they've been doing a pretty good job of it. The idea is that they try to just sell out of the product on pre-release day, and for some of their larger products, they've been doing a pretty good job on it. The Indomitus, this
Yeah.
Cursed City. So
Yeah.
um,
I'd say they're definitely been on their game.
yeah.
Except for maybe that Prime Nexus, but whatever.
Hey, you win some, you lose some, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
I'm sure all of their products sell just fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Their batting average is super good. It's real
yeah,
high.
they're
Yeah.
doing well. They're selling out of stuff as they're raising prices, but they keep putting out good models, which is why people keep buying them. Um, and anyway, kind of their most recent like tentpole released is Cursed City. It's a Warhammer Quest product, so it's sort of a board game. I mean, if you know me,
Yeah.
I don't read rule books, but my understanding, it's basically a board game.
It
This
is,
one,
in
this one,
fact, there's a board and
yeah.
tiles. Yes, it is a game on its own.
Oh man, so I was popping the chits out of the pieces of
I saw
cardboard,
that. I
the
saw that in your
markers and
video.
the tokens,
I
and
felt that pain.
yeah, I've gone back and forth on whether or not I'm ever actually going to play Warhammer Quest.
Mm.
So on the pro side, apparently it's a game for 1 to 4 players,
Uh-huh.
and I meet the minimum requirements there, so I could give it a shot.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good call.
And the models are really cool. And I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, I have most of them built, and now I have a couple of them painted. But the question, which hero would I play as, like
Mm.
actually got me really inspired.
Mm.
Like, I was just like, here's another game. I don't know if I want to have another game. But the question, if you were to play this game, what would your hero be? Who would you go questing as? I was starting to think like, oh, this one's pretty cool, and this one's got the steak launcher, and I was starting to get into it a little bit. So, maybe I'll give it a shot. We'll see. Um,
So, off the top of your head right now, which one would you what's your go-to?
I think I would go with the Witch Hunter,
All
but
right, cool.
then again, like looking at some of these other ones, oh man, the this priest is even pretty cool. Actually,
Yeah, got him right there. Of course
one
you
of the
do.
minis I didn't paint up is he's kind of like a nobleman, and his
Mm-hmm.
gimmick is that he's got a jacket, but he doesn't have his arms through the sleeves. So
Okay,
he's got a gun, he's got a giant sword, and then he's just kind of has like a winter parka like just slung across his back,
that sounds
and
pretty sweet.
it's got a real like yuppie vibe to it,
Right.
like like in Happy Gilmore, where Happy is making fun of Shuda for not knowing how to wear a sweater. Like it's good, it's good. Um, but anyway, so you know me, I hate reading rule books, so I do not know if I'm going to play this game. And I was at a high ebb where like the characters are cool. I got them all built. I think I could get
Yeah.
into like it from a role playing side of things. Like
Sure. Sure.
let's enter through the eyes of this character. Start with trying to identify with the hero, and then I started popping out chits, and there are so many different tokens and
Yeah.
markers and counters,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, no. The Games Workshop Central actually did a good thing and put empty plastic bags into this game box so that
Mm-hmm.
you can put your chits and stuff into the empty plastic bags. And they sent like 8 big plastic bags, and I'm trying to think like, okay, I'll put the little hexagon markers in this one, and the little circles in here, the little rectangles in this one, and these squares have different markings from these squares, and these squares are bigger than these squares, and so these are all just different cardboard chits to play this game with. And it was to the point where I needed to like double up and put multiple chit types into each of these 8 different plastic bags.
Yeah.
I'm just like, ugh. I don't know. This is testing. This
That's
is
pretty
really
funny.
testing whether or not I'm going to crack open that rule book.
There are lots of big box games like that do that.
Yeah,
Gloomhaven is a perfect example. It's like the amount of crap that you have to punch out and keep hold and track of is just unbelievable. It's really cool, but why couldn't you figure out a system to hold this crap in the box? Like, I don't have to spend another $100 on an organizer that fits in this box to organize all this crap.
well, it's not.
Like,
I mean, uh,
that's tough.
that's a whole interesting. What's the word? Company. There are companies that do that sell
Yeah.
organizers to put in your game boxes. That's a
Mm-hmm.
whole interesting little industry there of making specialized holders to go inside the Warhammer Quest box.
Yeah.
This one's going to be extra hard though because there's no way to put those minis back in the box.
Really?
The so
Oh, because they're just screws.
right now my Warhammer Quest box does have all the game board tiles and all the chits and all the dice and whatever else was in there, the rule books and stuff. But there's no room for me to just well, there's probably room. It's just not advisable for me to start chucking painted
No,
plastic
painted
minis in
models.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting. Gloomhaven has little boxes for each character.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to do all right. I painted a few of those, and they've stayed in good shape. But that, yeah, I don't think Games Workshop has actually gone down this road hard enough to actually necessarily know what they should and shouldn't do to put into a box like this. Like, what kind of organizational things? It's like, oh yeah, big box games come with all these little Ziplocs. That's sweet. Let's do that. Well, how are you organizing them versus how is everyone else going to organize them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that they have enough experience with that, because I think this is probably it might be the biggest game, standalone individual game, the most models, the most stuff that they've ever made.
Yeah, I think it might have slightly more stuff than Silver Tower, and I actually don't own a copy of Blackstone Fortress, but I think it might be a little bigger than that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so even the storage issue aside, I was looking at all those chits and like, oh, do I have to know what each of these is supposed to represent? Like the number of rules implied by like 15 different types of markers makes me unhappy. So
sure,
we'll think about that. But of course, I did do some painting because that's why I'm mostly interested in these boxes. And let's be honest, even these games is to paint minis. So yeah, the box showed up on my doorstep 2 days before the review embargo lifted, and it's like, okay, if I drop everything, I can I can get a video out. So
you could have too. You could have if you dropped everything. Like
I pushed it pretty hard, and it still took me 4 or 5 days to make a video where I painted 2 minis. And
I mean, you did paint 2 models, like a pretty good standard. So
they look decent.
It makes sense.
These are the ones we were talking about where I wanted to put one more day into them, but I just said, close enough. But that happens. That happens.
It does, yeah.
But yeah, so I decided to paint 2 of the models from the cover of the game, the characters who were drawn the biggest on the box art.
Van Helsing and Brienne of Tarth.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep. Pretty much there. And cool models. I was happy with the paint jobs they did on them. And put the video up as we're recording, put it up today. People are watching it, so cool. And I'm thinking I might use the rest of the characters in a game of Goobertown Roulette. So instead of drawing from a pile of brown paper bags where nobody knows what's in any of the paper bags, maybe it'd be fun to be like, roulette. Here are the options. What are you rooting for?
I like it.
Here's a hint. I'm rooting for this guy.
Right.
Honestly, I think this guy looks really stupid, so hopefully we won't get that. But what would be the fun if we didn't let chance decide,
Yeah. I'm just gonna throw this out there though. I'm getting my Curse City box in a couple days. If you're gonna do that, you throw an extra dice over here for eBay Miniature Rescues.
You want me to pick your minis?
Yeah. Just a little quick little thing. I'd be like, Brent told me to paint this. I have a child, so I'm gonna sit on my couch. Here we go.
Yeah, I'll do the thinking for you on this one.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah,
Casey, today you are painting.
Exactly. You see where I'm going with this?
Little
I like
dwarf guy.
Yeah, even if it's a stupid one, you just tell me to paint it. I'll paint it.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. I was just throwing that out there.
Huh. Yeah, no, this is the second time that Games Workshop has sent me some review stock ahead of schedule, and it is fun to get those packages in the mail. I wish they'd send them out maybe like a week earlier than they do, but
yeah,
such as
to be in time for the actual release would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that they're trying to build hype up for pre-release day, not even release day. Like they're interested in pre-release day.
Yeah.
And so getting, if they're trying to get us, I don't know if you want to call us independent content creators, independent influencers.
We are Games Workshop contractors.
No.
Okay, maybe not. No, that's too far.
Yeah.
That's pushing it too far. I
Yeah.
apologize.
But if they want, you know, the YouTube channels and such to actually contribute to their pre-release sales at
Yeah.
least, send them out a little bit earlier. You know, you might get some better results that way. Have a higher percentage of painting and gameplay videos to unboxing videos. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Well, hey,
Things
such
to
is
think
life.
about, Games Workshop.
What's that?
Things to think about for Games Workshop.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. I mean I do feel like as far as that stuff goes, they're a little bit behind the times. You know, they've caught up in so many other ways and done so much right. You know, especially like over the last like 5 years. And that's just one of those things that they haven't quite figured out yet. It's like, how do we deal with this whole thing of, you know, content creators, people pushing our products without us asking, you know, but have a large following, you know,
Sure.
that's kind of a big deal, right? It's like, just is. And they need to think about it, I think, just a little bit more than they do now. But, you know, they'll get there
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure just from publicly available information that like Miniac Scott did not get an early copy of this box, which is full of vampires.
I feel like we would have gotten a vampire video rather than a sexy calendar video, but we'll go into that in a little bit.
Will we? Okay. Uh, but yeah, I mean, make sure Scott gets your box of vampires
The
because
vampire guy.
yeah, because Miniac will make a
Yeah.
video that gets 100,000 views very quickly about
Yeah.
painting your vampires, and they're good models, so he will say good things about them.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It just seems like malpractice not to make sure that
That's
like
a
one of
good
these
way to put
boxes is in the
it.
hands of certain people.
Yes, absolutely.
And of course,
Right. It's like when picking and choosing, how did it come down to like these options? And I'm not saying that, Brent, you're a bad option. I'm not saying that at all.
no,
You are a
I
very
mean,
good
like,
option. But
I would
you know,
comparatively, or like in terms
comparatively.
of people
Yeah.
who like are obvious good choices. If your intent is to hype the product that you're releasing, if your
Right.
intent is to get more eyeballs on the product that you're releasing,
Yeah.
yeah, no, a British man should have come to my house, stolen the box back for me, and driven over to Minnesota to put the box in the hands of Scott Miniac. Like, that would have been the better call. Like,
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Or at least like Guy from Midwinter Minis. I mean, his channel
Sure.
has exploded and gets tons of views. And
Yeah.
he obviously likes Warhammer Quest because he built that channel on the back of
Off
Blackstone
of
Fortress.
Blackstone Fortress, yes. That is
Um,
a very good point, actually. Out of in fact, almost more so than Scott and the vampires.
right.
The fact that Midwinter Minis was built off of a very large chunk of, or I mean, the entirety of that box set, right?
Yeah.
It was in its entirety painted.
Yeah. And so I'll say, you know,
Yeah.
in the last few days, I've seen Scott streaming because he streams, and like it was pretty clear from the stream that he was doing things other than assembling vampires. So I'm pretty sure Scott does not have this box.
Right.
And in the same way, like, you know, we talk to Guy, and we don't know for sure that he doesn't have the box, but there have been no obvious signs that he does have the box. So
Yeah, and again, like just in general, I feel like if you had gotten it, yeah, if he had gotten it,
yeah,
he would have done something by now, right? Like he can put videos out pretty quick,
oh yeah,
like speed
oh yeah,
painting. He would have gotten half that box
yeah,
done already. But like I speed painted half this box yesterday,
yeah,
and it would have been great.
yeah. And
But
we're
that video did not come out.
yeah, he absolutely he puts those speed painting videos out for Warhammer Quest fast. He could have done like 3 different characters
Exactly,
before
at
the
least.
yeah, in time for the pre-order. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all right. I mean, they sold out anyway, but
they did. Yeah, it's not like
what are
they
you
need our
doing?
help
Like,
at all.
there are obvious correct moves to the point where if you don't make them, that's a mistrial. That's malpractice. That's cause for dismissal. That's it's
right.
I don't know. Yeah, so a few years ago, there were very few full-time content creators. A few years there was mini wargaming channel, but other than that, Spiky Bits. I don't know. There have been some, but it's really been in the last year or two, maybe.
Yeah.
That Miniac quit his full-time job. So did Emil. So did Guy.
Yeah.
You and I to a lesser degree, but
technically this is my full-time job.
Yeah. There is a cast of full-time content creators who spend a lot of their working hours painting Warhammer figurines, and part of public outreach should be proper communication with all of these figures. Like Guy and Squidmar, like their channels in terms of amount of views rival or beat the official Warhammer channel.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're entering a brand new world. I'm glad I got my box. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure Scott hasn't gotten one yet. Hopefully he was able to hit the button on that pre-order in time, and so that he will eventually get a box of vampires.
I can't imagine that out of there's no way, right?
The source will make sure he's okay. Dan at the source, Dan the man at the source will make sure he's
that Scott does not get a box of Cursed City, or two at least. Like, I don't even. I just felt, you know what, dude, you can have mine. Like, this just feels wrong.
This feels wrong.
Seriously. That would be the thing. Yeah. Because how does that happen? How would that even happen? Oh man,
Scott's trolling eBay for the $300 scalpers for this box of vampires. Yeah.
So I paid under MSRP by about $40, and currently they're sitting about $50 to $100 above MSRP on eBay.
Wow.
Yeah, they are. That price is going up. So, yeah. I mean, there's going to be a second wave, so they should go back down. But right now, people are panicking, and the prices have skyrocketed pretty good.
Well, they've got their marketing worked out. Even if they're not sending a box to Scott, they've got something under control there. But again, we're in this new era of there being full-time major content creators for this, largely for this product line, and because this is now the full-time job of several people, they're gonna be doing this for a while. Like there's gonna be a Midwinter Minis and a Miniac talking about Games Workshop releases for, who knows for how long, but I'll say 10 years,
that's at least a good, like, short-term guess for sure.
For
at least
a while,
a decade,
they're
right.
They got to find a way to communicate with the big people and set up decent relations with the big people in the influencer community, or whatever you want to call it. But a while back, a guy had his video. I terminated my NDA with Games Workshop because the relationship just wasn't worth it to him, and that was
right to hold back.
That was a loss. Like, regardless, you want to make sure that you are able to have communications with Guy, because he is going to be important to your shareholders.
Right? Literally. Yeah. Man, it's a weird thing to think about.
It's a weird thing to think about. It really is, but it's a brave new world, Casey.
Brave new world, yes.
I got my box of vampires. There was some other good stuff in it. Speaking of other good stuff in there's a really cool wood elf model. I don't know who else likes wood elf models, but
Not Scott.
there's got to be somebody out there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, what else are we talking about today, Casey? What else we got going?
Well, we were going to talk about specifically bases, things to do to your models after they have been painted. But I'm sure everybody actually wants to know what the hell's going on with that calendar, because I do. I want my copy.
Does anyone know what we're talking about right now?
Yes, they all do.
They all do?
They all do. And if they don't, they've just found out.
Should we set the stage, or should we just assume that you say the word calendar and people know what you mean?
I think in this case, with the people that listen to us, that watch us on the YouTube channel, like I have to have a feeling that there's at least a majority that understand the calendar, that have heard about this calendar, that have seen the pictures in this calendar. Scott put out an April Fool's video that was quite provocative.
Entirely Amber's fault? Yeah.
Yes. But it featured a calendar with pictures, 12 months of miniature painters. And I have to say, there was really only one picture in the entire calendar that actually got brought up, and is the reason that people actually want that calendar.
Jeremy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's kind of a beefcake calendar, and it's got had the idea for this video like very shortly before April 1st, and so he was throwing together a joke OnlyFans video for, Scott starting up his OnlyFans, and join now to get the mini YouTuber beefcake calendar, I guess.
Yeah.
And so March 31st, Scott sends out messages to all of us. You guys, I need a little bit of help here. This was like, I want to say it was like 10 p.m.
It was so
on the 31st.
late.
It was pretty late.
It was late, yes.
Yeah. He said, hey guys, a little help here, but I need to make a joke. Sexy mini painter calendar.
Yeah, 12 months.
Help us out. And by the next day, by golly, he had one.
Yeah, like a legit full on.
The community really came together and crowdsourced some stupid photographs of all of us.
That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. But hey, that was fun. That was stupid. And
it's good.
I feel like we've had that joke going for a while now.
Yes.
And Scott just decided to pull the trigger on it, huh?
Yeah. Which is interesting. I mean, I don't know why somebody hasn't done it before. And not the like April Fool's OnlyFans sexy calendar, but just in general, like, why not?
People don't use calendars anymore, do they? I'm pretty sure that kiosk in the mall still exists in January, but other than that,
I don't know. It depends on the type of calendar, because there are the minimalist calendars that you can get these days. That it's literally just like 12 photos split in half, like centerfold style. That has a calendar kind of on the side, but it's really just a big photo that you switch every month, and that's what you get. That's what you're buying. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a thing.
Yeah, haven't been in the calendar market for a while. Huh.
Yeah, but I know I want one now.
Maybe we'll do it for real. The comments seemed interested, so.
I mean, I think so.
Well, Scott's just gonna get all the profits, and
that's true. Yeah, he is. I mean,
we'll have to argue about our charity. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Have to whittle it down to a solid core of 12 contributors and argue about our charity, and put some firm limits on what Luke wants to do for his photo. And his was the most depraved. Black sock he was wearing.
Exactly.
Ugh.
If you haven't seen it, we'll throw the link down in the description, just because.
Yeah, the Scott just has it like flash up on the screen for a couple of seconds, so you'll kind of have
That's
to
the
mouse
thing.
your
It's
way
like
through. Yeah.
the couple of seconds in that video was the comment section too.
Oh yeah.
That's
No, he
the
had a
crazy
couple. I'll
thing.
say he had a couple of like funny moments during the video. I really
Oh, he
liked
did.
the
I like the video. It's
yeah
hilarious.
getting his hair to wave because he was
With the
shooting with the
airbrush,
airbrush was
yes.
hilarious. Yeah,
Oh, I was dying.
that
The
was actually
airbrush
my
thing.
favorite part. But yeah.
I was gonna do that for my photo. I was gonna get the airbrush and do the hair thing. I was totally gonna do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we talking about bases now? We done with this?
Let's move on to basing.
All right. So
So
let me start. I had an alternate quick tip on basing. I don't know what we're gonna say about
Ooh.
basing, but let's
I have no
kind
idea.
of re-find our center here.
Yeah, let's get
Yeah.
into the main topic of this episode. Miniature basing. Is it important? And how do you do it?
Well, I don't know about that, Casey, but I'm going to start off with a quick tip about basing. This is something I tried ninja style this last project I work on. Don't paint the base rims at all. If you have a base that doesn't have a gate on it, if you have like some of the recent Games Workshop bases, the plastic is injected from the top of the base and the base rim itself
Right.
is pristine.
Yes.
And so you don't need to, clip a nib off of there and file anything down.
Mm-hmm.
If your base rim looks good in black plastic, don't paint it at all.
Agreed.
No primer, no black
Nothing.
base rim. It's already got a black base rim. You're not going to
100%.
get a coat of paint smoother than that smooth plastic. So
Which is ironically textured slightly, but whatever.
pretty smooth.
Pretty
Pretty smooth.
Smooth as a 1,000 grit sandpaper. I got you.
Just textured enough for a little bit of a matte sheen, matte finish. And look, I don't know how this is gonna go. This quick tip might be awful, but it's just something I tried for the very first time on that vampire hunter and old Brienne of Tarth. But I tried not painting the base rim, just very carefully hand priming the texture on the surface of the base, on top of the base.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know how this is going to go, but I liked it for now. And I've got the Citadel mini holders that kind of has the clamps that come in from the side and they're kind of spring loaded. And those put a lot of pressure on the base rim, and I'm always worried that it's going to mess with the finish on painting the base rim, but
yeah, it can. Like if you spin the model or something, you spin the base in there, it can scratch that.
That's a line. Yeah,
I've done that before. Yeah.
So trick is not put any paint on there. I don't know if this is a good idea. Probably this is bad, but I don't know that it's bad yet. It hasn't backfired on me yet, and certainly there are bases where the molding of the base has just a gate right in the side of the base rim, and so that's just going to look terrible. That's not going to work. But
yeah, but like you're saying, if you've got the base that doesn't have any of that, because a lot of the bases don't. Usually the ones you get in the packages don't have any of that stuff. And I think they've mostly gotten away from that being on the sprue also. Although the push fit bases are usually on a sprue, which is kind of a bummer. Makes sense. They're saving money and all that. But yeah, you get those fancy bases. Like, it's always my goal to not paint the bases, to paint the base rims. It's like, I'm not even kidding. Like, ever since I've been in this hobby, it's always been my goal to try and not mess up the rims. And if I do, then I feel bad and I have to paint it black. Otherwise, I'm like, if I can keep this pristine and brand new, this model is perfect.
So you've been doing this for years and not telling me.
I have, yeah. That's weird. I never really thought about it until you just brought it up. But yeah. Like, that's something I've done.
I guess a lot of your early videos, you didn't talk much about how you actually did the base in the video.
No, I actively avoided it for a very long time. Yeah. Okay. For probably 60, 70 videos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that? Does that tie into our main discussion of how do you base a mini and why?
Um, I mean, for a long time, it was kind of like it's probably like a more of a confidence thing. Like I was just like, oh, whatever, texture and it's fine. Yeah, or I just didn't care maybe. It didn't seem like as big of a deal. But the more that I got into painting miniatures and trying to tell a story with that painting, beyond just base coat, highlight, whatever, um, basing became more important. When I started getting into pewter models, fine cast models, where there's a new release, right? Um, so there's an older model that's in pewter, whatever, and it's tiny. It's not very big. It's a 25 millimeter slaughter base, and like that's your hero, right? On a 25 millimeter, the smallest base that they make, and they're like, "Yep, that's your hero. Here you go." And nowadays, it's like the same model or the redone plastic kit of that model is on like a 60 millimeter round or something, just massive. So it became this kind of important thing to take these old models that are still technically playable as their newer counterparts and create a story around that. And basing is the best way to create a story with your model because that's the most real estate you have.
Sure.
You can paint it however you want, whatever. It tells a little bit of a story. You got blood or you got damage or chipping or whatever it is, but your model is your model and it is what it is. Your base elevates that and sometimes literally elevates that. If I've got a little stumpy little model, well, the newer counterpart is 4 inches taller. I'm going to literally elevate my old model. I'm going to fill that space out and it's going to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of why I wanted to talk about basing because I think it's more important than ever, especially with this kind of old generation of models and new generation just being mixed in and a lot of older players that still have these older models. Like, what are you supposed to do with those? You
Well, I
can still
think you're
play them.
absolutely right to, give them a little bit of height any way you can. And I mean, I just watched your Mephiston video today, and I know that you put 2 layers of cork under his feet to build that base up a little bit. And
Hmm.
actually, I saw someone had commented on your video that put him up higher so that the enemy can get more headshots. Like, but for real, like even from a gameplay sense, even trying to get small marines to look more like big
Yeah.
marines.
Yeah.
Give them a layer of cork or two.
Yeah.
Uh, and I know that I've definitely seen you enjoy using a sheet of corkboard as a material when you're doing your bases.
Yeah. I think that's a good go-to for quick, like dynamic basing because you can do a lot of basing for pretty cheap that way,
Mm-hmm.
just tearing up some cork and making little rocks and whatever. It also gives you that elevation. You can build it out that way, and you don't have to worry about cardboard or cheaper material. Like it looks decent. It still looks like cork. Some people don't like it, but I've always found it aesthetically pleasing when it's been painted and dry brushed. It's funny is that comment that you mentioned, um, that came from a YouTube channel, a gaming YouTube channel. It's the guy that I've been playing Warhammer with,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, I painted scouts like just old Space Marine scouts, right? Like a while back, and we had that discussion of like, well, people are saying, yeah, you put them up on these bases, you gave them that elevation. Well, I played those scouts in a game of Kill Team with the guy that left that comment, and they did get shot off the board because they were too tall. That's why he was saying
Uh,
that. So
Modeling for disadvantage. Yeah.
literally, yes, it's disadvantage to do that if you're gonna play something as specific as Kill Team. Now in 40K and Age of Sigmar, it's not really a big deal, and it's more, at least from my perspective, about the storytelling aspect of it. So not quite the same thing.
Now, so how would you, how do you balance that the gaming base versus a display base?
I mean, I think if you're like the hardcore tournament player, then there are like minimalist basing styles that Games Workshop generally recommends, out of the bottle, they sell texture paints, you know. They're a little expensive, $7 a bottle, but they work really well. You just plop it on the base, move it around, put some grass tufts down, and you're good to go. It looks pretty good. And you really don't have to do much. I think Vallejo is probably the big company that sells like the big bottles of that type of stuff that's just way cheaper.
Oh
Does the
yeah.
exact same thing.
Oh yeah.
So like look into alternatives, but the Games Workshop stuff in a pinch will do. I like that stuff. That's what I used for a long time. Like when they came out with that stuff, I was just like, wow, thank you. Like this made my life so much easier. Because even back in the day, I didn't base my models. Like if you were gonna do anything, like straight up 20 years ago, you're gonna paint that plastic base goblin green and call it a day.
I've
Like you're
done
not
this.
putting
I've
anything
done
on
this.
there.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've come a long way, I think. Like since those days. So um I think that like personally I would go story over gameplay.
True.
Although I try and stick to the standard base size. You can technically go bigger. You can always go bigger than the recommended base size or the actual regulation base size because it allows your opponent to have the advantage of piling more models around that base. But you can't go smaller. So I try to never go smaller than the official base size of whatever model is the current model. Uh, just because I don't want to have any arguments with anybody,
Sure. Yep.
even if
Yep.
it's a tiny, like the Great Unclean one, the old school Great Unclean one, the metal one, like
Hmm.
he's not very big, and putting him on 120 millimeter round is kind of hilarious. But that's what you got to do.
Hey, give him a pile of trash to sit on. That's what
And
you got
I've
to do.
I've I've seen that, and it looks awesome. Like you
Oh
literally
yeah.
you use that as your scene to tell that cool story. Like this Great Unclean one, he's built himself his own circus, and it's like got a trapeze on it, and it's this whole flying circus of Nurgle, and this awesome stuff going on. Like I've seen some really cool stuff. So there's more creativity in that aspect, and I think basing, while I pretty much ignored it for a really long time, has become this kind of more important thing to me as a painter that kind of goes along with whatever I'm painting. And I'm starting to view it as something I need to include every time rather than like sometimes if I feel like it.
Yeah, that makes total sense. It's one of the skills I want to improve on
Right. Yeah.
because somebody who knows how to, like you're saying, tell a good story with a base, those look awesome. Uh, I've got in my head like Sam Lens right now. I'm remembering a particular Twitch stream he did back when he had a good internet connection. And he had, I mean, essentially a bit spin, but it was a bit spin of like random tiny household objects. So tiny gears and capacitors and I don't know, scraps of, a dozen different materials. And in addition to, like buckets of sand and all that stuff. But it's kind of fun to build up a collection of small materials.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to, put these together to make kind of a ruined industrial site. And at first, before it's primed, it's like, okay, tons of different materials on there, looks kind of funky, but we've said this before, but the act of putting down a layer of black primer does so much to make everything the same material again. And
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden it all looks like it actually does belong on that ruined industrial site. And then you can start painting it up and telling that story.
Yeah.
And so, for me, a lot of the skill of basing, well, a good part of it at least, is just building up a collection of cool knickknacks and cool wires and cables and grates and all that stuff. So, back when I used to have a job, one of the things I really liked about that job was the trash can, or the they had a swap site for items that were basically trash, but it was possible that somebody would find a use for them. So it was everything from like dirty glassware or like chemical glassware to very old computers to very old instruments to actually the chemistry model kits that I use in the videos, like Goobertown videos. I got those from that trash pile. Like just
nice.
a ton of old teaching chemistry model kits, and I, gave them a serious bath and got some more use out of them. But I love rooting around in a trash pile looking for knickknacks, and be that old electronics or what have you. If you can get like a good pile of things that are not immediately recognizable. We've talked about this before, don't include a beer bottle in your terrain because it's recognizable. But if there's tons of gears and stuff, you don't know where you got them from. I've heard like the insides of printers are great.
There's tons of little gears and mechanisms in there.
Yeah, your $80 HP printer that was made to break 2 years later. Oh, that can live a second life as the base for not Mephiston, but certainly your big plague boys. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Your Adeptus Mechanicus.
Definitely Adeptus Mechanicus. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I bought like 3 kill teams of Skitari and Adeptus.
I can't wait to see how you base those.
You don't even know. Oh
yeah.
my God. I forgot about those. Anyways, sorry.
No, I'm just telling stories about rooting around through the trash.
It reminds me of our first episode talking about good old thrift stores and trash cans and
important. Yeah, when you are at a thrift store or at a dumpster, just be looking for like weird little things that you don't immediately recognize but exist on a small scale. That once you spray paint them black, that might be just the thing.
That's the thing. You start living in a world where you imagine everything being spray painted in a matte black. And possibilities just start opening up. Like you look at almost anything. Like it's weird. You can even find random like ceramic stuff in a thrift store. It's like, oh, it's like a little cherub baby, something or other. You spray paint that thing black. You give it some kind of like bronze look to it. You put patina over it and a bunch of blood splatter, and it's like there's sweet terrain. Like it just takes on a whole new life that you didn't even know that it could have, because it's just like this rosy cheeked cherub in a thrift store. Like, yeah, that's great. Yeah. I want that for my grim darkness table. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure you're watching Miscast for just the creepiest weird little toys and stuff getting spray painted and recast and attached 100%. To terrible toad monsters. And
yeah. It's just more proof that we are all actually Sid from Toy Story, not Andy. Like that's actually what we are. Just slightly more guided, hopefully.
I know. So as serious advice, though, getting back to my habit of buying things in bulk, you can get very cheap bases from China. And, just go and search on eBay, 25 millimeter bases. You get, 100 for $10 or something like that, free shipping.
Pretty sure it's the last time I got bases was that.
Yeah. And they basically work. Sometimes they pretend to stamp GW on the bottom of the bases. Normally they don't go that far, but they're the correct dimensions and they look proper. Or you can just use any circle. But what I'm saying is testing bases and like playing around and experimenting is fun. It's easy. It builds skills, and when you're done, you'll have a collection of like tiny palettes, essentially tiny example bases that you can take a painted mini and just like sit them on each of your 20 practice bases, and that can really help to cement ideas and to figure out what you want to do. And I'm a person who likes to do bases separately from minis most of the time. So when I'm painting minis, I almost always try to temporarily glue them onto just a little 25 millimeter base for like a painting base. And then at the end of the process, I'll take the mini off and put it on its real base. But yeah, so those temporary bases, I just use a dot of super glue. And normally I try to put the super glue under the left foot just so I know where it is. Stick it down to the 25 millimeter base, put that on my painting handle, paint the mini. And then, I use a small base because it's just not in the way while I'm painting a mini. And then later on, I'll put the mini on a whatever more complicated base. So the most, what's the word, sub-assemblies that I do, normally my sub-assemblies is I have the model and I have the base. And towards the end, I put them together and make sure that they match and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's really useful to have a little pile of ideas, of test bases. And before I forget here, the channel Eons of Battle has a really great quick series of ideas for bases. And I think this playlist goes back maybe 5 years or so, but a couple of young guys who are just making quick 2-minute videos about here's an idea for a jungle base, a desert base, an exploding base, a Sector Mechanicus base, whatever. And that's just a really fun playlist to leave on and just get these 2-minute ideas after 2-minute ideas. And, try a few of those techniques out, and then you have some tests around, some trials, some experiments for jungles and grasslands and whatever else. And then when you have a new mini, test things out. I've actually even done this a few times recently where I finished painting a model and one of my old test bases is actually pretty much right for the model. I just stick it on and call it good.
Yeah, that's what I do with my Mephiston. That was
Perfect.
a base that was for something else that I built up, and I was like, oh, that's exactly what I would do probably right now. This one's already done, so just put the model right on top, finish it up.
And that's why I'm, suggesting going out and buying a bunch of extra bases for cheap, is so that you're not, too precious with the more expensive bases that you get in the actual model kit, which, if you are buying the genuine GW stamped bases, like, I don't know, those are 50 cents, $1 each, something like that.
Yeah. What I found over the years is a lot of the local game shops, they'll sell bases for pretty cheap, like $0.25 a piece or something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in fact, all of the shops in my town, I think they all sell bases. So that's always been kind of nice. And I'm not sure where they get them from. They just have extras laying around or whatever. If you're buying on eBay, you seem to end up with a lot of extra bases. I don't know why. I have literally like an entire drawer filled with bases. It's just nothing but bases, like all sizes. And they just kind of came with other things. So I don't know. It's weird. I haven't bought bases in a while. The last project that I actually purposely bought bases on eBay for was goblins. Rebasing from squares, unlike you, keeping them on squares. But I put them all on slotted rounds. So yeah, I bought like 100 of them for $10.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't know. I still don't consider myself a particularly good baser, but I've always got some ideas and I'm always testing new stuff. And get yourself some cheap bases, run some tests, collect yourself some old printer parts and any knickknacks you can. And as always, if you go to the beach, bring your Tupperware.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, very seriously, like I have I don't know, 6 or 7 little jars of sand of different grits around here. That was me walking around just one stretch of beach. I mean, the ocean does a pretty good job of sorting the big rocks and the small rocks, and you got your pebbles and your different grains of sand, and just walk around the beach, you'll find the different patches. And if anybody's looking at you, just either do or do not make eye contact with them and just fill your Tupperware and get out of there.
I've never had anybody stop me. I mean, if you're on a public beach, like I'm sure you can't take truckloads of sand away, but like a jar or like a little thing of it, I don't think anybody's
I mean,
gonna.
in a lot of places, I'm sure it's technically illegal, but
Probably, I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe check your
if
local
if you actually get stalked by
ordinances.
somebody, I mean, you just make eye contact and pour it back onto the beach. I don't know, like it's
I
not.
was moving it.
Yeah.
I last time I was up in Oregon, I grabbed a shopping bag and I went down purposely. Like last day, I would just happen to be there. Drove to the beach, went down, started handfuls sand into the bag. Took the bag, tied it up. It was sitting in my van for good 6 months before it actually like fully dried out. And that's been my go-to basing material for like the last year and a half. No
Oh,
joke.
for sure.
The beach sand, the fine sand that you can pull out of that is awesome. And then it's got so much good variety in it that I can almost always just dip it right in. It's base ready. Some people
I've
might
I've
say.
seen some people on YouTube or streams or whatever. And it's interesting to see what everybody's different like sand jar looks like.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I've seen have like a weird mix in theirs. Like they have one container with a variety of different grits, and including some pebbles and like some little crab legs and everything in there. And I don't know, that seems like a good way to do it too.
Yeah.
When I went out beach searching, I mostly got different grains of sand, roughly. I mean, there's some good variety
Like
of
more
shapes and stuff in there,
specifically though, right?
but yeah. So my jars are a little better sorted, and I've got my jar of pebbles, my jar of sand, and my jar of coarse sand.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do have a jar that's like mostly tiny little seashells and stuff, which is their day will come. I'm telling you.
Man, I let them slip through. Like in my beach sand, there'll be little pieces of shell that are pretty recognizable, but they slip
Mm-hmm.
through, and it just adds like a weird alienness to a
Yeah.
base. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't quite come across as a seashell, right? That multiple grit like that. I don't know. I like that variety, and I think that's why people do that. Because I used to go like how you're talking about, where it's very individualized. Like I had my grains separated, and I go, okay, a little fine grain right here. That's gonna cover these gaps. Oh, you gotta have some medium pebbles, and how about a big rock right there? That's cool.
Yeah.
And like that was fine. It looks good, and it's very purposeful if you want to go down that road. But like I've just found the randomness, especially when doing like large projects of just a mixed bag.
Yep.
Quite literally, it's like I don't know,
Yep.
it's freeing because it's like PVA, scoop it, you're done. It looks good.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It
Agreed.
feels good.
And I've definitely seen, videos where they're saying, okay, we're gonna do coarse sand,
Yeah, yeah.
fine sand, then we'll put a few big ones in there. And yeah, there's something really nice about just having a go-to mix,
Mm-hmm.
and even having a pretty brave mix too, and just dipping
Right.
in there. But um on the topic of like natural materials, I've seen this concern pop up a few places of people worried about, I don't know, bringing like critters or mold or disease or something into their house.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I gotta say, I'm not too worried about it. If you are worried about it for whatever reason, stick your sand in the oven for a while. If it cooks chicken, it'll cook your sand, I figure.
Mm-hmm.
Just enough so that it kills any materials, and that's not something I'm too worried about. Like I'm not meticulously cleaning my shoes every time I come in from outside or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. But
Most of the time, the way that I've heard that go, I suppose, um, is if you're introducing wild sand into like an aquarium or uh like a terrarium for a spider or a lizard or something, whatever it is, um, then you definitely want to bake it because you don't know what kind of stuff that's carrying for your animal that's gonna live in it, right?
Sure. I
Like
mean,
I had a
that's a separate thing. I'm with you there.
right,
Yeah.
but as far
Um,
as like yeah, touching it like human contact wise, like if you're gonna paint over it, especially
yeah.
there's nothing in there that's like gonna get out
Yeah.
or
Well, I've
grow.
just seen this a few places, and that includes if you're, pulling sticks in from outside, and
Yeah.
you know, Scott Miniak has some great basing videos also. I know in one of his videos he was, had a piece of bark on there, and the piece of bark looks great, and he's saying, okay, we're gonna seal this now with a ton of super glue, ton of thin super glue to seal it. Like, or you could not. I mean,
Yeah.
are you scared of that piece of wood? I mean, I guess there could be a queen termite in there. I guess. In theory, there's not, but
In theory, depending on the army, like
yeah.
that's a go for me. Like
Um,
I'm making a Nurgle base and I got a piece of bark on there and something like legit pops out, like a maggot pops out. Like yeah, leave it. That's cool.
that would be, I would be surprised, but
That'd be the
um,
most liked photo on Instagram. Literally, I would have on my entire account. Just a
it's
termite
a good
maggot
point.
thing popping
That's a
out.
good
Like
point.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I'm all about bringing in natural materials onto the base. Some of them look good at scale. Some of them look a little bit weird at scale.
yeah.
Um,
Gets a little funky sometimes.
yeah. I mean, I've got some tiny, tiny mussel shells, like clam shells and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
this the scale still isn't quite right.
They're still giant clams.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like within the realm of possibility for a fantasy environment, but still pretty big clams. Yeah.
I'd say like you go deepkin on that and you cover it in resin and you're
Ooh.
gold. Like the bigger the
Okay.
clams, the better. Look good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I have a ton more to say about basing here.
I mean, I think the gist of the conversation that I really was shooting for was like you shouldn't be afraid of basing because it doesn't have to be that difficult. Like we're talking about going in your backyard and grabbing a pile of dirt, you know? Um, you're at a park. You go down to the river, you go down to a lake or something, the ocean. You get materials all over the place. Like I have based 10,000 points in beach sand from Oregon, and they don't all look the same. That's just a starting place, you know? It covers all the gaps. It does the things you want it to do, and you can stop there if you want and have cool looking sand. Generally, you paint over it. You start adding things in like grass tufts. Grass tufts are an easy addition. It doesn't have to be complicated. The army painter has good grass tufts. They're pretty inexpensive. You start moving up into there, you get some crazy companies that are doing crazy things with grass tufts. Um, there are so many different things that you can do to make your models look just a little bit better and tell a more cohesive, succinct story without really having to do a lot of work. And it just adds to your paint job. Like painting is a whole thing on its own, but basing, like you look at any award winning paint job, and it's like, yeah, it got there because half that model is a base. And it's awesome. Like
Oh
in a
yeah.
lot of cases, they won because the base.
Oh yeah.
So it's something to think about that goes in conjunction with your painting that we always need to be thinking about and building our skills and just trying to get better at all the time. So don't even necessarily think of it as something separate. Just start to build up. Like Brent said, go buy those cheap bases from China. They're essentially GW bases. Probably came out of the same factory, but like that's a good place to start practicing. Just start building different things. Like, you want to try some crazy water base or whatever it is, go for it. I mean, the last couple of videos I did some water bases and they completely failed. They still look pretty cool, but not what I wanted. But they
You'll
look
get
cool.
there.
Yeah, I'm gonna get there. Like I even looked at two-part thick, like heavy pour resin today. I was at Michael's, and there's this massive selection of it because it's so popular now. Like where it's never been popular before. Everybody's doing these thick pours, for resin these days. So it's becoming more available, but all this stuff is becoming more available, or it's literally in your backyard. So I'd say just go for it and make it a part of your routine when you're doing models.
Side topic, I want to make friends with some people that work at Michael's. I would love to hear the stories about how they like recognize the different type of customers. That
Right, that's a good question.
you know, Hobby Lobby is, you mostly got your little more religious crafters, and Michael's, you got your maybe a little less religious crafters, and still a lot of knitting and scrapbooking and all the rest. And you got your parents coming in to get the kid I don't know, off-brand Lego or something, and then you just got your gamer coming in for thick pour resin, inks, and I don't know what else. A lot of good stuff in the craft store, but
yeah, it depends on the season.
Oh yeah,
Like right now it's spring. Michael's has fake plants like everywhere. So you're doing your Sylvaneth army. Like right now is the time, people. Get those fake plants. You throw a little bit of like paint over the top of that. You mat those nasty plastic plants down. They actually look pretty good.
I'm still just picturing like the cashier watching the people walk through the door, and then just a nerd walks in.
I walk into Michael's and they look at me.
Old like gamer wearing flip flops and like a stained Star Wars shirt and everything, and just like heading straight for the thick pour resins. Like wonderful.
That's funny. I was in Michael's. It wasn't that long ago, and there was a guy in there looking for gloss varnish, but he didn't quite know what the product was. But he was like trying to tell this lady that worked there. He's like, "Look, like I'm painting these models, right?" And I'm like listening to this conversation. And he's like, "I want to make the eyes really really shiny, right? Like they're kind of glowy and all this." So he's like explaining this lady. And she's like, "I have no idea what product you want." Like, and they're looking at all the testers paints, looking for something. It's like, I'm thinking, okay, there's several versions of gloss varnish in this store, and I know where they all are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here you go. This is for your model. I promise this will work for you.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I gave the guy,
Okay,
I told him, like, hey, here, this is what you're looking, just varnish, right? Gloss varnish. Like Liquitex has some in the other aisle. It's like a $14, gallon of it or whatever, but it'll do.
Right.
There was some other stuff too, but yeah, I think even Mod Podge has like a gloss, whatever, something. But yeah, you can tell. It would be a fun conversation to have with one of them, though.
Oh, for sure.
What if they see me coming?
I actually think I may have heard on an episode of Life After Cover Save that Blake worked for a little while out of Michael's.
Love it.
So, yeah, I might have to see what he thinks. Like,
yeah,
someone walks in the door, they're going straight for the scrapbooks.
He would have
walks in the door like that kid's
right?
Walking out of here with the model dinosaur.
Right. I think we might have to give him a call.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that for sure.
Yeah.
Then you just see like Blake's cousin, or Blake sees Ed walk in the door, and like this guy's going straight for basing materials.
Exactly. That little tiny section in Michael's that has like 4 bags of different grit, sand, and rock. Mm-hmm. There's some way overpriced trees, scale trees.
Oh, those are wicked. Yeah.
So ridiculous. Oh man. I went to Michael's today. I was in today.
You're just bringing this up now?
Yeah, I went to Michael's today. I needed some more black card paper, whatever, for my backdrops.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I do know what you
Uh,
mean.
yeah,
Poster
you do.
board, black poster board.
Yeah, well, no, it's
Oh, you use
like
smaller.
actual cardboard paper, whatever you call that stuff. This stuff.
Construction paper?
Yeah, construction paper. I don't know why I forgot what that was called.
It's all right.
Construction paper.
You got your nerd walking into Michael's trying to explain what construction paper is, but they want it only in black.
Black,
yeah.
thick, kind of, flaky
Paper?
ass paper. You know what I'm talking about. Cardstock? No. Card something. Yeah, anyways. I need some of that. I picked up some nice Liquitex white ink.
Ooh,
new
I
bottle
need
of
a
that.
restock on that.
Yeah, because I've gone through like, I don't know, like this year, like 3 bottles. A lot of Liquitex ink. So
yeah, I think that's about right for me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
good
a lot.
Stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff. And then I picked up some like rubber adhesive material that I thought was interesting, like this kind of foam that was adhesive on one side that you can cut to make like roof tiles. And then I was sitting there like walking around Michael's going like, why the hell am I buying this sheet of weird rubber crap to make roof tiles with? Like, I don't make scale roof tiles ever.
You will.
I know. But then I was questioning myself, and it didn't make any sense. I don't know. It was just a weird thing, but they have weird crap like that. And it's like, I go up to the cashier and it's like, here's white ink, construction paper, and a weird rubber mat adhesives. It's like, what are you buying? Let's just get that look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I would love to know what they actually think. Like if they can spot people, if they can separate that. Oh, there's a knitter. They're going to knit all day.
I think there are some strong clues, but you're right. It's more interesting when you can't tell what they're doing. Yeah, if they're buying 7 different colors of yarn, like you can make some guesses.
Yeah,
but if you walk up with 3 extremely different, 3 things from different aisles, it's a little bit harder.
Like 1 fluorescent green paint.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And some rubber.
Construction paper. Well, I think, the mind would try to put that together as what are you doing to this construction paper? Because the construction paper would be like the base of the project. Like you're sticking some of this rubber stuff on the construction paper.
Painting it white with white
this
ink.
Green
I
ink
can kind of see that.
Color it at all. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I've been asked before, like, well, what are you painting? Because it's like, here's a bunch of random like product that doesn't actually go together, really. And it's like, oh, I paint models. I'm not gonna go into it. They just assume it's like some car or whatever, airplane or a boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just too much. It's too much to lay down on somebody.
Most people don't really care.
That's really what it is. So they're being polite. They don't actually give a shit at all. Yeah. Like your hairstylist doesn't care that you paint Warhammer. I promise.
That's true.
Unless they play.
So that's why you just got to mention it and see if they keep that conversation going.
Yeah. Like usually what I get is, oh, I make videos on YouTube and I paint models and do things like that. And they're like, so do you like work at YouTube? Like the company? No, I really don't. Like that's where that conversation ends.
Yeah. Well, I haven't gone to a hairdresser for a little while.
That's true.
Last experience was not a good one, so I stopped going. So
you just stopped.
Yeah,
like, just growing my hair out. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But all right, what else we got, Casey?
I do know that we will be continuing the normal podcast schedule, regardless of babies Whether or not I hit my video schedule is a whole other thing.
Hey, what are you going to do, you know?
Literally. I'm not going to be sleeping for days. We'll see how it goes.
We're all rooting for you.
I appreciate
a special moment.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it should be pretty good.
I guess when we return with the podcast, there's going to be another small eBay rescuer in the household. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the goal.
Exciting times.
Yeah. And on that note, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
We appreciate you. The movie Footloose plays the song Footloose 3 times, at least. I just clicked through it and I got 3 without even trying. It's a lot of times.
Really, just like randomly Footloose.
Well,
how does that go?
Yeah, the Footloose song. And
I'm thinking of something else.
It was on Hulu, and I was like,
and you watched Footloose just because?
No, I didn't watch it. I was like, I literally clicked on it because I'm like, you know, that song's pretty good. Is it like the credits song? Because I don't think I've ever watched it all the way through, but I was like vaguely aware of what Footloose is. It's like it is a town that sucks, and then Kevin Bacon comes, and there's a good song.
It's a dance off or some such.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit through 2 hours of that, but
no.
I clicked on it with the intent of finding when the Footloose song plays during that movie.
It's like the climax of.
And so I'll say it starts right off opening credits. And I'm like, wow, you're starting with the opening credits, the main song of the movie? Okay. And then I'm like, I wonder what about closing credits? And I click to the end of the movie, and there it is again. I'm like, oh. And then I was like, what are the chances? I click halfway through the movie, and they just did a bar doing the Footloose song. I'm like, well,
oh, heck yeah. You know, it's quite possible it's even more in that movie. That's
the thing. Like, I'm like, I'm not gonna sit there and click like at the 2/3 mark and the quarter through mark, but I can tell you that the song plays for a significant portion of the runtime in at least 3 different parts of that movie.
In each act of the movie.
Yeah, because I was like, Footloose, that's the movie that goes with this song. I was kind of wondering, like, how that got cemented into common knowledge. Is it just like a really good credit song that like somehow got associated? No, that song plays through the entire movie. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, I guess, if you're gonna do a movie based on a song or vice versa. Like it better play like quite often.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, and we will talk to you later.
Keep it footloose, people.
Keep it footloose. Yeah. We're going to use that again, aren't we?
Keep it footloose, or
keep
just
it footloose.
That's the second ending, or surprise, footloose ending. Yeah.